Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jay from Sony Alpha Lab, and what I got here is the Sony A7II full frame mirrorless, the latest and greatest from Sony. So I'm going to break it down in the real world and using the lab here, and I got sample video and photos to show you, and some hands-on of course. So stay tuned and we'll get to the bottom of whether this is worth it or not. Alright guys, so what we got here is 24.3 megapixel full frame sensor in the new Sony A7 II. And obviously we have the 5-axis steady shot built inside, so that makes the camera body itself a little bit larger. They did enhance the autofocus system and they made it a little bit faster than the previous A7, so it does 5 frames per second now, which is a 30% faster increase. For video, we now have the XAVCS video codec similar to the Sony A7S, and it also has the S-Log2 Gamma with the picture profiles, which is huge for a 1300% dynamic range increase for post-processing. That's gigantic, and professional quality can be obtained with that algorithm. On the back, we have a high-res tilting screen, of course. We have the high-res viewfinder built in, which is very nice. The body itself is new. It's all magnesium alloy, and it is weather resistant. We do have the refined grip. It's deeper, and the lens mount area is a little more robust. It also has built-in Wi-Fi and NFC, and on the top there's the multi-purpose hot shoe, which will allow you to use all sorts of accessories for audio, things like that, flash, video, lights, all sorts of good stuff like that. So, all right, so from the side here, you can see the audio in, out, and the HDMI port, as well as the USB port, and it's significantly different placement compared to the A7R. Also, the doors on the left are just a little bit rubberized, not quite the same as the A7R metal design. So I mentioned earlier that this was pretty heavy camera, and it is. It's 600 grams approximately, and compared to the A7R, which is about 409 grams, that's a third increase in weight, or whatever the percentage is. So that's definitely notable, and I wanted to point that out. Alright guys, so Sony came out with a firmware update, version 1.1 for the A7 II, and it fixed the problem when mounting older non-electronic lenses. The image stabilization and stuff wasn't working, like this Minolta lens and stuff like that. It wasn't working properly, so the firmware update fixed all that. There was a trick to a workaround, but now that the firmware update is here, we don't have to worry about it. Alright guys, so here is the new A7 II next to my A7R, and you can see there's quite a bit of difference. I did a comparison video going over all the individual differences, and you could check that out if you want to see it in more detail. Here she is. So one thing I wanted to show you guys is the difference in shutter sound. So let me just turn this on so you can hear. I wanted to do it in hand. Hear that? So that's the A7 II, and the A7R is noticeably louder, as you will hear in a second. Alright, so in the hands, the A7 II feels pretty good. It's noticeably heavier than my A7R though, but it has the built-in steady shot inside. So with the built-in steady shot inside, you can expect there's going to be a rig around the entire sensor that's going to allow it to, stabilize it in 5 directions. So clearly it's going to weigh more, and that's what you get. So I wanted to show you this articulating screen here in hand so you can see how it works, like so. Okay, it goes down all the way to like this, and then it goes up all the way to that. The memory card door here, this does open occasionally. I had it open on me once when I was at Sam's Club, and I was holding the camera with one hand, and whatever I did, the thing did pop open. So somebody asked me if it does that. The A7R does that as well. I think Sony could rectify that by just making this click a little harder. Just make this a more like aggressive click, so it's like snap. And then that won't happen. It seems like a very easy fix to me. One of the best improvements of this camera is the bottom. It's so beefy here, and it's so much better for tripod mounting. Alright, so here we are in the lab, and I'm just recording some test video hand-holding with the 35mm f2.8 prime lens, and you can see how good the steady shot works. It looks like I'm just super smooth, but it's not. It's the camera doing the work, believe me. Here it is with the steady shot turned off, and you could see just how shaky it is in comparison. It's just jittery. Bottom line. You can also see the focus transition. I have it on the center, and depending on what's in front of the camera, it'll transition, as you can see right about here. There we go. Alright, this is with steady shot on. And this is the same effect here, but this time with steady shot off. Handheld. Just lifting the camera up pretty much. Bones, be nice. Bones.
What is he doing?
It's playing.
Oh, good boy.
You got your dragon. Good boy, Bones. He's so cute. He's a good boy. Layla's room.
This is my dog. This is my dog McStuffins. This is where my car's dressed. This is my little brush to brush their hair. And these are my little flowers. And this is the shoe store. But I gotta kind of find their little matching shoes, so it's only one shoe. And here's the cupcakes. And here's my little... See?
Ooh, that's cool.
And he is walking to the forest.
Alrighty, so here we are in Lightroom 5, and this is just the best way to go over photos, I feel. And I just wanted to show you real quick a lab picture, and this is with the 35mm f2.8 lens at f5.6, ISO 200. I wanted to show you just how clean ISO 200 was, pretty much perfect as far as noise is concerned. Alright, so that's a good baseline. But anyway, so I wanted to show you now the high ISOs. So this is ISO 25,000 raw quality. This is ISO 12,800 raw quality. This is ISO 6400. And this is ISO 3200. You can see it's pretty darn clean. Here's a real world high ISO image. This is Layla's room. This is ISO 5000 handheld. This is a raw file. So you can see it has a slight purple tint in the really, low light shadow areas. Going on to some more, I wanted to show you some real world stuff. Here's a cool scene you might recall, and this is an auto HDR. Does a pretty good job. You can see how it exposes. Here's a shot of my buddy Chopper. And here's a close-up. You can see the details really good. These are shot in JPEG mode as well. This one too. 1635mm lens. Here's a cool creepy house scene. Took a shot of the berries out front. Here's the house itself. And you can see the details great. 24 megapixels, excellent. This is JPEG, so you can see it is a little bit over sharpened compared to a raw file. And here's another wide angle. You can see the nice rich blue colors and white snow. This was auto. Camera did a fantastic job, just right off the camera, JPEG. I really like the result. And here's 100% crop, so you can see the sharpness from the JPEG. And here's a scene looking out with a little S-curve. And here's a fence that was kind of blocking it in the front. Show you a little separation with the lens. Here's a shot looking into the sun. 100% crop there. Here's another 100% crop of the cable. So you can see the detail rendered here on the rust. It's very, very good. So here's a quick run through. I just wanted to show you 35mm, 24mm, and 16mm. So you can see the drastic perspective differences you get on a full frame camera at those focal lengths. Here's a long exposure shot I took. 35mm f8 was 30 seconds. And the detail's great. Came out very good. I'm happy with it. See how sharp it is. Not bad, considering 30 seconds. And it was the JPEG straight off the camera. So testing out the steady shot, I wanted to see how slow I can go with the shutter speed. So here's 1/15 of a second, and it's sharp. Here's 1/8 of a second, and it's sharp. Here's 1/6 of a second, and it's pretty sharp. And here is 1/4 of a second, and it's sharp, but still not super sharp. So, but this is 100% crop here. So you could see if you look at the full image, this would still be usable probably, you know what I mean, if you're zoomed out to this. So that's incredible. 1/4 of a second, 1/6 of a second, and it just starts to get a little bit soft. So that's hand holding, and it's really good. I'm impressed with that. I was playing around with some glass. I have this cool glass that has a lot of shapes, dimension to it. So when you put it, you know, it's kind of like kaleidoscope effect you get. And then doing some out of focus is always fun. Got some cool results. You know, Layla was in front, and I was moving it around there, so I got a little motion effect. And some Christmas decorations at the family's house. Really nice. I was using the 50mm rocker lens here to get that killer bokeh. You can see the separation is just amazing on full frame camera. Gotta love it. Gotta love the full frame. There's a doggy. And there's my puppy Bones. He's a handsome. These are shot in JPEG as well. I actually edited this one a little bit. Here's another one with the wide angle lens. I actually took this shot with the 70 to 200mm using the Metabones adapter. The white balance is a little bit off, but the image itself came out pretty darn good. He's moving around a lot, so it's hard to get a sharp shot, but it's not too bad. ISO 1250, 165mm. Here's another one. This shot was taken outside. This is 1/20th of a second, handheld, 16mm, and you could see it's nice and sharp, and you can see the motion blur of the car. Pretty cool how you can hand hold and get that slow shutter speed like that. There's one of Layla in the car. We were going to the store, and this was a good sample shot, I thought, to show you the resolving power. This is raw quality, and you can see, you know, the rendering detail of the bag, and it's really good. It's not quite as good as obviously the 36 megapixel A7R with no anti-aliasing filter, but it's still really good. Then we were leaving, and there was the fog rolled in. Kind of looked pretty cool. We got some freezing rain the other day too. It was nasty. Jace is playing in his pack and play here, kind of like focusing on the net. It always creates a fun image. Here's Layla outside playing. You can see, I'll zoom in here and show you just how sharp it is. This is with the 35mm prime lens, and it's amazingly sharp. Facial recognition kicked in, and it just nails it almost every single time. Here's a good one of my buddy Bones, my new puppy. Here's a close-up so you can see just how sharp it is. And it's excellent. Another one, him looking back. He's a really good dog. Here's kind of like a perspective shot I just wanted to show you. And 100% crop. Show you the detail. I just took this the other day of my boy Jace. He was kind of with the hoodie on. He was like, what are you looking at? So I had to take this shot. It was fun. And here's a close-up of the eye. I enhanced it a little bit with clarity and brightness. And I asked Layla to get in front of the window, and she made a funny face. Look at this face. So cute. I'll just zoom in and show you the detail here. And you can see the eyelashes, you know, very sharp. And then the out of focus over here. Yeah, so is the A7II worth it? You know, $16.99 body only is a pretty good deal. $19.99 with the kit lens, the 28 to 70mm kit lens, which is pretty good, by the way. I used it on the first A7 that came out, and it was quite good for a kit lens. Just, you know, the range was a little to be desired for, as well as the aperture, speed, things like that. But overall, the camera is great. The build quality is much better. It's improved in many different ways. The new doors, the plastic doors on the left, those are a little bit flimsy. They could be a little bit beefier in my opinion. They could click harder. Same with the memory card door, that could click a little harder. Those are pretty minor nitpicks though. They're not that bad. The way they open, it's much easier to get the USB cable in. And also the menu button could be moved over to the right. That would be a little better in my opinion. Overall though, the image stabilization is incredible. I really enjoyed using it, and with manual lenses it helped a lot. So especially with like this 35mm here, in low light situations it was much easier to use, and I took advantage of it, you know, and playing with Layla and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. Anybody want my A7R? Like, I like the A7R, don't get me wrong, but like I can't take shots inside, and it's not as good with the video. So I would much rather have this camera, and it's cheaper. It's, $16.99. My A7R is, a lot more than that. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's definitely in like around 2,000 or so. This is much less, and it's much better for my purposes. Obviously the A7R is better for high res, sensor and the no anti-aliasing filter, but in the real world, I don't need that. I just don't. And this is a better product for me. So I would rather have it. Now, if you have an A7 already, is it worth upgrading? Well, if you like to use old school lenses like this, then I would say absolutely it's worth upgrading, because having image stabilization with these old school lenses is totally worth it. But other than that, I don't know if it's really necessarily worth upgrading because it's the same sensor. But the body is much improved. I highly recommend the camera is the bottom line. Alright guys, I hope you like what you got with this review, and I really hope you have a nice day. Support would be appreciated with the links below. Alright, thanks. Take care.